Hey everybody, Glenn here. I want to thank you again for tuning in to another episode of our show. So it's not the No Vacancy podcast today. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. As I start to launch the No Vacancy News website, I want to really focus on bringing other stories to you. I want to make sure that you're getting interesting, relevant content all the time. And you know what? Sometimes I'm simply not the expert at it. So I've worked out a deal with Johnson & Wales University. So I'm very excited about this. They are the premier school for culinary education. And they're turning out amazing chefs. They've got great relationships. So what did we do? I set up a deal with these guys, and they are going to be providing some great content from time to time, getting more regular throughout 2018 as it goes along. So for our first episode, it's a little mini-sode, so to speak. What we did is I had Tim Cameron from the College of Culinary Arts. He's an associate professor over there. And listen, what's really cool about that is he is going to be talking about the Latinization of Southern cuisine. A little bit of a history lesson for all of you today. So we could really start to understand where some of these food trends have been, where food trends are going. So I don't have that kind of knowledge, as I mentioned earlier. So I'm having the folks at Johnson & Wales share that with us. I think all of these interviews going forward are, history lessons are going to be fun. They're going to be insightful. They're definitely going to be absolutely interesting. So I want you to sit back, listen to what Tim Cameron has to say, and we're going to be really excited to bring you more shows like this in the future. And while I'm at it, man, do we have some great stuff lined up for you in 2018. We've got new series coming. We've got new video series coming. We've got live events coming. I can't tell you how excited I am, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I'm really excited. So keep listening. Here's Tim Cameron from Johnson & Wales University, and be sure to let me know what you think. Reach out to me at Traveling Glenn on Twitter, at Instagram, like our Facebook page, and I'll be catching you guys on our regularly scheduled show every single Friday. Thanks for listening.
Hello, my name is Tim Cameron, and I'm Associate Professor in the College of Culinary Arts at Johnson & Wales University in Charlotte, North Carolina. I want to talk to you today about the Latinization of the New South. And as way of introduction, I'd like to begin by talking about migrations and a personal story to open. My father was born in 1917 in western Missouri, and he dropped out of school to try to save the family farm during the Depression after his father died. He failed to do so, joining a long list of people who intimately felt the brunt of failure that the prairie mercilessly handed them. Like countless others, my dad left for the West Coast, first working in Oregon as a lumberjack, then getting his GED in Portland before finally settling in the San Francisco Bay Area to attend college. Only a short time later, he became restless and moved to the Mountain West, where he seemed, at least to me, to wander around every 2 or 3 years or so, always a bit unsettled. My father's story is not a new one. Many Americans moved to California after the Dust Bowl. In fact, many U.S. citizens moved often during the last century. The largest movement of people my dad would have witnessed were African Americans who left the South in droves during the Great Migration, looking for jobs and new opportunities in the Northeast, the Midwest, and on the West Coast. From 1916 to 1970, 6 million African Americans left the South for the warmth of other suns, in the words of poet Richard Wright. Isabella Wilkerson chronicles this wave in her book of the same title. Before 1910, almost 90% of African Americans lived in what are now the former Confederate states, with 73% of them residing in rural areas. By 1970, less than half of the black population lived in the South, and only 25% lived in rural areas. I tell my college students that they are witnessing what will be the largest migration of people in the U.S. during the 21st century. The significant increase of Latino residents in our country, growing from 56.5 million in 2015 to a projected 165 million by 2065, according to the Pew Research Center. This is absolutely phenomenal. While California continues to have the largest number of Latinos, the South has seen a surge of residents as well. Our immigrant populations are radically remaking the South, with Latinos leading the wave. UNC Chapel Hill professor Hannah Gill suggests that Latinos have been in North Carolina for more than 100 years, employed as farmhands and migrant workers before their transformation to full-time citizens, whose proven work ethic has made them valuable in housing and construction trades and the service industry, among other jobs. Today, Charlotte is one of the fastest growing cities in the United States and concurrently the fastest growing Latino population area in the South. According to local historian Tom Hanchett, this county has grown from 1/2 million residents in 1990 to over 1 million by 2013. About 15% of these residents are from other countries, and 1/2 of the immigrants are Latino, half of those being Mexican. Our immigrants are spreading out through Charlotte's central corridor area, taking over old venues that used to serve textile workers and providing goods and services for multicultural neighborhoods. In this second decade of the 21st century, the noticeable growth in ethnic businesses has injected new life into the struggling sections of our city, as Latinos continue to do so in small Carolina towns as well. So our study here on the South today is about migration. There are many ways of looking at the South. Some people look at it as a region. I would suggest that it's many regions, since North Carolina and Virginia aren't the same as the Mississippi Delta, and Charlotte and Richmond aren't the same as Mobile. Another way is to look at it as diaspora. In the past, the diaspora would have been about African Americans, but now our diaspora is about Latinos. With close to 1 in 7 residents of Charlotte being immigrant-born and 50% of those being Latino, this is a big deal to us. So it's not just California that has gone through rapid change, it's many other places as well. I love eating at local taquerias on the east side of town and sharing my experiences with my students and friends. I believe the influx of immigrant cuisines is helping to make Charlotte's food scene much more dynamic, as it will throughout the rest of the South. I'm not just talking about Mexican cuisine, but the way ingredients are used by hotels, resorts, and restaurants, plus the way that Latino culture is embraced rather than marginalized. Let me give you an example from California. The fact that California cuisine, which was developed in the last third of the 20th century, uses a lot of Mexican ingredients is no accident. And it has led to a dynamic fusion of foods which is very famous around the world. I would say that is the attitude towards ingredients and the attitude towards people that share that culture area that has made the cuisine so dynamic. Back to the South. Charlotteans today travel more widely than earlier generations. Many of us enjoy Latino foods and continue to be savvy consumers of Caribbean, Mexican, Central and South American dishes. To give an analogy, we don't accept Italian cuisine to be, quote, Mama Stevie's Spaghetti and Pizza House anymore, with a salad served in a wooden bowl with iceberg lettuce and an entree made with hamburger meat in a red sauce. On the contrary, we accept Italian food to be much more complex than that. There will be a pushback against what I call gringoed up Mexican establishments that put ketchup in their chili con carne or serve ground beef in a chili relleno and then smother the whole plate with chopped lettuce and sour cream. Our citizens are becoming more discriminating in Charlotte as well as other southern cities, and will continue to have a more dynamic food scene, which will necessitate the opening of more niche markets and eventually higher-end Hispanic establishments. I am also aware that the restaurant and hospitality businesses would not be vibrant in Charlotte without Latino workers. with their strong work ethic and ability to learn tasks efficiently. And it is not just the restaurant industry. It is also the building trades and the stage burgeoning wine industry. We also have a strong need for Latino teachers and civic leaders. Let us not forget that the Latinization of the New South presents us with new customers for our cities as well as workers, and with new clients for our medical professionals, new soldiers for our military, and new students for our schools. From a hospitality perspective, we need to get past the notion that Latinos are only maids, dishwashers, and cooks. Latinos are good managers. They know how to work in groups, and they are not afraid to work long hours. For many managers, their ability to shift from Spanish to English and back again with ease allows them to practice what Carlos J. Ovando calls situational ethnicity, because they have knowledge and skills to function in two or more different cultural contexts. I actually am quite envious of that, since my Spanish is not very good. Latinos are avid consumers of popular culture and social media, using Facebook at a higher percentage than other ethnic groups, according to a Latino consultant who spoke to me at the Southern Foodways Alliance in Charlotte last June. These residents actively communicate their interests within their own social networks. Latinos are also brand loyal customers, and entrepreneurs and hoteliers would do well to market their products and services on Spanish media sites. We should find ways to make them spend money in our establishments. They are customers who eat out regularly and spend their hard-earned cash in our communities. They come from conservative cultures with strong family ties, and they enjoy communal activities. Hospitality professionals should look at ways to package lodging, meal, and entertainments that improve their profits while building brand trust with this most important part of our industry. The South will continue to be transformed by our immigrant communities, with Latinos leading the way. I suggest we embrace this change, encouraging our HR departments to actively pursue skilled professionals and young candidates who can grow into leaders within our businesses. Thank you.